The stars shone brightly in the viewing chamber of the Quarrel mothership. Elder Tsarek stood with his forearms clasped behind his back, his large eyes fixed on the blue-green planet displayed on the massive screen. Earth, the humans called it. Such a simple name for such a complex world. "Show me the warfare footage again," Tarek ordered, his voice a low rumble. The screen shifted to scenes of human conflict. Tanks rolling across deserts. Fighter jets screaming through the sky. Soldiers in combat gear moving through ruined cities. "Fascinating," whispered Tarek. "These creatures have been fighting each other for their entire recorded history." Next to him, Admiral Voxar clicked his mandibles nervously. "Is that not reason enough to avoid them? They seem unstable." Sorek turned his eye stalks toward the Admiral. "On the contrary, what interests me is their rate of advancement." He gestured to the screen. 200 years ago, they fought with metal tubes that fired metal balls. Now they have weapons that can destroy entire cities. No other species we have studied has advanced their war technology so quickly. The council chamber filled as the other members arrived. 11 different species made up the Quarrel hegemony, each with their own unique appearance. Some floated, some crawled, others walked on various numbers of legs. All of them watched the humans with growing concern. "I have studied their patterns," continued Tarek, bringing up charts and graphs. "Their science makes great leaps during times of conflict. They are driven by the need to defeat each other. Then they will be easy to conquer," said one council member, a jellyfish-like creature floating in a gravity field. "We simply turn them against each other." Sarek shook his head. "I am not so sure. There is something different about these humans. Sometimes I feel they are not what they appear to be." Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Elena Reyes worked late in her laboratory beneath Geneva. The large particle accelerator hummed around her as she studied the results on her computer screen. "This can't be right," she muttered, pushing her dark hair behind her ears. She ran the test again. The same impossible result appeared. According to her findings, matter could be made to exist in two places at once, not just at the quantum level, but at a macro scale. If true, this would change everything about physics, about transportation, about energy. Her phone rang. The caller ID showed General Chen. "Dr. Reyes," she answered, her voice tired but excited. "Elena, we need you in Alaska tomorrow," said the general without greeting. "Something has been detected approaching Earth. Something big." Elena frowned. "A meteor?" "No," said Chen, his voice tight. "A ship, and it's slowing down." Elena felt a strange tingle at the base of her skull. For a brief moment, she saw images that made no sense. Star maps, weapon designs, faces of creatures that couldn't exist. "I'll be on the next flight," she said, rubbing her temples as the strange vision faded. Far above, in high orbit, the Quarrel observation ship watched Earth's military bases with growing interest. Soon, they would make contact with these humans. Elder Tsarek felt both excitement and dread at the prospect. In the ship's archive, a sealed file remained untouched, its contents considered mere legend. Its title, "The Sleeping Gods: Historical Account of the Human War Machine." Little did Tsarek know that the sleeping gods were already beginning to stir. 3 massive ships appeared in the sky above New Tokyo. They hovered silently, their smooth silver hulls reflecting the sunlight. On the ground, millions of people looked up, pointing and taking pictures with their phones. Some ran in fear, others watched in wonder. Inside the United Earth Council headquarters, world leaders gathered in the emergency meeting room. Screens showed the alien ships from different angles. Military generals stood nervously near the doors. "They're sending a message," announced the communications officer. "It's being translated now." General Wei Chen watched with narrow eyes. He didn't trust this situation. 20 years in the military had taught him to expect the worst. "I want our defense systems ready," he whispered to his aide. Quietly. The main doors opened, and Dr. Elena Reyes rushed in, still wearing her lab coat from the flight. "Sorry I'm late," she said, taking the seat. "What have I missed?" "They call themselves the Quarrel," said the council president. "They claim to come in peace." The large screen showed an alien face for the first time. Elder Tsarik's 4 eyes blinked at the camera. His gray skin looked smooth, and a small mouth moved below his eyes. "People of Earth," came the translated voice. "We bring greetings from the Quarrel hegemony. We wish to establish friendly relations and share technology. We will land one small ship in your city center in 1 hour. Please prepare to meet our ambassador." The screen went dark. "It could be a trap," said General Chen immediately. "Or the greatest moment in human history," countered the president. "We will meet them, but with proper security." 1 hour later, a small shuttle descended from the main ship. It landed gently in the plaza outside the council building. A door opened, and Ambassador Xor-Jin stepped out. The alien was shorter than most humans, with blue-tinted skin and 6 limbs. 4 were used for walking, while 2 functioned as arms. His large head held 3 eyes that blinked independently. "Greetings," said Xor-Jin through a translation device. "I bring gifts from the stars." The meeting went smoothly. The Quarrel offered medical technology that could cure several human diseases. They showed designs for cleaner energy systems. They spoke of a galactic community that Earth could join. But in the background, things were happening that neither side mentioned. In a secure lab beneath the meeting site, General Chen supervised as scientists examined a small piece of alien technology. "This power source isn't as advanced as they made it sound," said one scientist. "It's only about 20 years ahead of our own research." Dr. Rice studied the alien propulsion diagrams with growing excitement and confusion. "This is almost exactly what I was working on in Geneva," she whispered. "How is that possible?" Meanwhile, aboard the Quarrel command ship, Officer Valrus moved silently through the restricted archives. His security clearance had been granted only hours before. What he found made his blood run cold. Ancient records, sealed for centuries, showed blurry images of beings that looked exactly like humans. The translation was incomplete, but phrases jumped out at him. "Gods of battle. Destroyed 5 worlds in a day. Chose to sleep rather than rule. Must never be awakened." Valrus copied the files quickly. Elder Tsarek needed to see this. The council had been wrong about humans. They weren't primitive newcomers to the galaxy. They were something much, much worse. 6 months passed since the aliens first arrived. The Quarrel had built an embassy in New Tokyo and smaller stations in 20 other cities around the world. They shared medical technology that cured several diseases and provided cleaner energy systems. Humans began to trust them. But not everyone. General Chen stood in the underground lab, watching Dr. Rice work. She had connected her quantum physics equipment to a piece of Quarrel technology. "I've almost got it," she said, typing quickly on her computer. There. On the screen, a 3D model appeared, showing the inner workings of the alien device. "Just as I thought," Elena said. "This isn't their current technology. It's outdated. They're giving us their old stuff while keeping the good things for themselves." Chen nodded. "The question is why? Why pretend to be helping us while holding back?" "I have another question," Elena said, pointing to her own research notes. "Why does their technology match theories I developed before they even arrived? It's like I already knew how their tech works." Chen's phone buzzed. His face darkened as he read the message. "We intercepted a transmission from their mothership," he said. "You need to see this." In a small room deep inside the Pentagon, Chen played the decoded message for Elena and 5 military leaders. On screen, Elder Tsarek spoke to the Quarrel High Council. "The humans remain unaware of our true purpose. Their planet has resources we need, and their population will provide excellent labor. Their military capability is limited. We can begin the real operation within 3 months." The room fell silent when the message ended. "They're planning to invade," said one general. "We should strike first," said another. Chen raised his hand. "Not yet. We need more information. And we need a weapon. All eyes turned to Dr. Rice. "I've been studying their ships," she said. "Based on my research, I think I can develop something that could disable their technology. But I'll need time." "How much time?" asked Chen. 2 weeks, maybe less. Get started immediately." High above the Ural Mountains in Russia, a Quarrel scout ship moved silently through the clouds. Its mission was to scan a hidden human military base. The aliens had detected unusual energy readings from this location. "Scans show heavy metals and energy signatures," reported the pilot to the mothership. "The humans appear to be building something large underground." "Continue monitoring," ordered Commander Vrex. "We cannot allow them to develop weapons that might." The pilot never heard the end of the order. A pulse of blue energy shot up from the ground, surrounding the scout ship. The engines died instantly. The ship began to fall. "Emergency landing," shouted the pilot as the vessel plummeted toward the Siberian forest below. In the Ural mountain facility, Russian scientists cheered as they watched the alien ship crash. "It worked," one shouted into a phone. Dr. Raya's weapon worked. 6,000 miles away, in her lab, Alina smiled at the news. But her head hurt badly, filled with strange images and knowledge she couldn't explain. Designs for weapons that shouldn't be possible. Star maps of places she'd never seen. And a memory that wasn't hers, of a council room filled with humans, voting to hide their true nature from themselves, to sleep and forget they once ruled the stars. The crashed Quarrel scout ship lay half-buried in the Siberian snow. Russian soldiers surrounded it, weapons ready. The ship's door opened slowly, and 3 injured aliens stumbled out, hands raised in surrender. One of them, Engineer Mestra, looked at the humans with fear in his 3 eyes. He had studied Earth's history. He knew humans were dangerous, but the weapon that brought down their ship shouldn't have been possible with Earth's technology level. Captain Sarah Mitchell led the capture team. "Secure them and get them to the base," she ordered. "Carefully. We need information." Meanwhile, strange things began happening around the world. In Egypt, tourists screamed as the Great Pyramid suddenly glowed with blue light. The ground shook. Every electronic device within 100 miles stopped working. In England, the ancient stones of Stonehenge rose from the ground and rearranged themselves into new patterns, forming what looked like a giant machine. In Turkey, the prehistoric site of Göbekli Tepe sent a beam of light straight into the sky, punching through clouds and continuing into space. Scientists were baffled. Religious leaders called it the end times. Military forces surrounded each site, but no one dared approach the glowing structures. In her lab, Dr. Rice watched video feeds from all 3 locations. Her headaches had gotten worse. Images flashed through her mind. Blueprints for machines that could bend space, weapons that could destroy stars, and faces of people she'd never met but somehow knew. Her phone rang. It was General Chen. "Are you seeing this?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. "And I think I know what's happening." "What?" "These aren't ancient monuments, General. They're machines. They're waking up." "Waking up? What does that mean?" Alina struggled to explain something she didn't fully understand herself. "I think they're part of a defense system, built by our ancestors." "What ancestors?" "The ancient Egyptians." "No," she whispered. "Someone much older. Someone who wanted to be forgotten." At the same time, in Antarctica, a team of scientists noticed unusual heat readings coming from deep below the ice. They drilled down, expecting to find a volcanic vent. Instead, they found a metal door. The door was made of a material no one recognized. It had no handle, no keypad, nothing to indicate how it might open. But as the lead scientist placed his hand on its surface, it recognized his human DNA and slid open. Behind it lay a vast chamber, perfectly preserved, filled with thousands of sarcophagi made of a clear crystal-like material. Inside each one was a human, men and women who looked exactly like modern humans, but dressed in strange, advanced-looking clothes. And they were beginning to move. Back in Siberia, Mestre, the captured engineer, was being questioned. Captain Mitchell sat across from him, asking about Quarrel invasion plans. Suddenly, she stopped mid-sentence. Her eyes glazed over. When she spoke again, her voice sounded different, older somehow. "Your people should have remembered the warning," she said in perfect Quarrel language, which she shouldn't have known. "Let sleeping gods lie." Mestre trembled. The ancient records were true. The humans weren't just similar to the legendary war gods. They were the war gods. And now, they were waking up. "What are you?" he whispered. Mitchell blinked, looking confused for a moment before her face hardened with new purpose. "Something you should have left alone." Elder Tsarek stood on the bridge of the Quarrel mothership, his 4 eyes watching the blue planet below. Reports of strange energy readings from Earth worried him. The scout ship had been shot down. Their captured crew had not reported back. "The humans know our true plans," he said to Admiral Voxar. "We have no choice now. Begin the invasion." "Yes, Elder," said the Admiral, giving the order. Across the Quarrel fleet, weapons powered up. 500 ships moved into attack formation. On Earth, General Chen raced through the Pentagon hallways. Warning lights flashed red. Alarms blared. "Status report," he shouted as he entered the command center. "Quarrel ships approaching, sir," reported an officer. "They'd disabled our satellite network. Weapons targeting major cities and military bases." Chen grabbed a microphone. "All forces, defensive positions. This is not a drill. We are under attack." Dr. Reyes stood by the window of her lab, watching the sky turn orange as the first alien weapons fired from orbit. The ground shook. Buildings fell. People screamed and ran in the streets below. "It's happening," she whispered. Her head felt like it would split open. More images, more knowledge flooded in, memories that weren't hers but somehow were. She knew what she had to do. Without fully understanding why, she began drawing complex symbols on a large piece of paper. When she finished, she pressed her hand to the center of the design. The paper glowed blue and disappeared. Seconds later, a pulse of energy spread out from where she stood, washing over the entire planet in an invisible wave. In orbit, Quarrel gunners fired again at Earth's surface. But something strange happened. Their weapons hit what looked like a shimmering blue shield that appeared just above the atmosphere. The energy blasts simply disappeared. "What is happening?" demanded Tarek. "Where did this shield come from?" Officer Valorous, who had been studying the ancient records, stepped forward. "Elder, I believe the gods are waking up." In Antarctica, General Chen and a special forces team stood in awe at the edge of the massive underground chamber. Thousands of crystal pods lined the walls, each containing what looked like a sleeping human. One pod in the center began to glow brighter than the others. The clear crystal melted away, and a man sat up. He looked exactly like a modern human except for strange markings on his skin that glowed with soft blue light. He looked at Chen and spoke in perfect English. "You have done well, child of Earth. I am Commander Arcturus, first guardian of Sol." "Who are you people?" asked Chen. "What is all this?" "We are you," answered Arcturus. "Your ancestors, the original humans." He stood and walked to a control panel. His hands moved quickly over symbols that lit up at his touch. "We put ourselves to sleep 10,000 years ago," he explained. "We chose to forget our past and start fresh. We were not good people. War was all we knew." He pressed a final symbol, and the entire chamber hummed with power. "But it seems war has found our children again." His eyes hardened. "And that we cannot allow." Across the chamber, more pods began to open. The sleeping gods were waking up. In space, the Quarrel watched in horror as massive objects began rising from Earth's oceans and from beneath its ice. Ancient warships, hidden for millennia, activated their engines and rose toward the stars. The war gods had awakened, and they were angry. The ancient warship rose through Earth's atmosphere, its smooth metal hull gleaming in the sunlight. It was massive, at least 3 times larger than the biggest coral vessel. It moved with impossible speed and grace for something so large. Aboard the Quarrel mothership, Elder Tsarek watched with growing horror. "Impossible," he whispered. The record said they destroyed all their war machines. Officer Valorous stood beside him, clutching a data pad with the ancient files. "The records were wrong, Elder. They didn't destroy them. They hid them, along with themselves." On the main screen, more ships appeared, rising from oceans, from mountains, from deserts all over Earth. Dozens, then hundreds of vessels joined the first one in orbit. "We need to retreat," said Admiral Voxar urgently. "We cannot fight this." Before Tsarek could answer, all communication screens activated at once. A human face appeared. Commander Arcturus, his skin markings glowing blue. "Quarrel vessels," he said calmly. "You have attacked our children. This was unwise." In the Antarctic facility, General Chen watched as hundreds of the ancient humans awoke from their crystal pods. They moved with perfect coordination, as if they had planned for this moment for thousands of years. Dr. Rice arrived, escorted by special forces. She looked different. Her eyes seemed older, wiser, filled with knowledge that hadn't been there before. "The memories are becoming clearer," she told Chen. "I know who they are now, who we are." Arcturus approached them, followed by several other awakened ancients. "It is time you knew the truth," he said. 10,000 years ago, humans ruled this galaxy. We were undefeated in war, feared by all other species." He waved his hand, and holographic images appeared in the air. Stars, planets, battles. "We conquered. We destroyed. We became addicted to warfare," he continued. "After one particularly brutal campaign in which we wiped out 3 entire civilizations, some of us realized what we had become." A female ancient stepped forward. She looked remarkably like Dr. Reyes. "I am Lyra," she said. "I led the group that proposed the Great Slumber. We chose to erase our war technology, modify our genes to suppress our advanced abilities, and sleep. Our children, you, would rebuild civilization naturally, hopefully developing empathy instead of bloodlust." "You're saying we're descendants of war gods?" asked Chen, struggling to believe. "Not gods," corrected Arcturus. "Just humans who took the wrong path. We hoped you would find a better one. The genetic memories and key bloodlines were our insurance," added Lyra, looking at Reyes. "If danger ever came to Earth, those memories would surface, allowing our children to access our knowledge without inheriting our violent nature." Elena felt the connection now. "You're my ancestor." Lyra nodded. "Direct maternal line. Your instinct to create the planetary shield wasn't chance. It was my memory showing you how." "So what happens now?" asked Chen. "Do we become like you were, warriors conquering the galaxy?" Arcturus's face darkened. "That is what we fear most. We must defeat the Quarrel without awakening the warrior programming that drove us to such violence." "How?" asked Elena. "Together," said Lyra. "Our technology, but your humanity." Above them, the ancient warships moved into position, facing the Quarrel fleet. The battle for Earth, and for humanity's soul, was about to begin. In Earth orbit, the ancient human warships faced the Quarrel fleet. For a moment, everything was still. Then Elder Tsarek gave the order to fire. Hundreds of Quarrel weapons blazed toward the human vessels. The energy beams hit the ancient ships but did nothing. Not even a scratch appeared on their smooth hulls. Commander Arcturus stood on the bridge of the lead warship. He hadn't fought a battle in 10,000 years, but his body remembered. His fingers moved over control panels that responded to his touch. "Defensive systems holding," reported another ancient beside him. "Should we return fire?" Arcturus hesitated. The old instincts screamed at him to destroy the enemy completely, to show the galaxy once again why humans had been feared. But he remembered why they had chosen to sleep. "Disable only," he ordered. "Target their engines and weapons. No casualties if possible. Back in the Antarctic base, now serving as Earth's command center, General Chen, Dr. Rice, and the ancient leader Lyra watched the battle on large screens. "We need to end this quickly," said Lyra. Her face showed concern. "The longer we fight, the stronger the old programming becomes. Already I can feel it. The hunger for battle, the desire to conquer." "What can we do?" asked Rice. "I have an idea," said Chen. "But I'll need help from both of you." He turned to the captured Quarrel engineer, Mestra, who had been brought to Antarctica. "You told Captain Mitchell that your people fear humans because of old legends. What exactly do those legends say?" Mestra's 3 eyes blinked nervously. "That humans were not just great warriors, but creators. Many species, including the Quarrel, were made by humans, then abandoned when the gods went to sleep." Chen looked surprised. "Is this true?" he asked Lyra. She nodded sadly. "Yes. We created servant species during our war period. The Quarrel were designed as administrators for conquered worlds. Then they might listen to you," said Chen. "Not as enemies, but as their creators." In space, the battle was turning quickly. The ancient ships fired weapons that bent space itself. Quarrel vessels found themselves unable to move. Others watched in horror as their weapons simply disappeared into tiny black holes that formed and vanished in seconds. Arcturus felt the battle joy rising in him, the feeling that had driven ancient humans to conquer world after world. It frightened him. His communication screen activated. Dr. Rice appeared, along with General Chen and Lyra. "Arcturus, we have a plan," said Rice. "But we need to act quickly, before we all become what we once were." Chen explained the idea. Arcturus listened, then nodded. "It could work, but I'll need to board the Quarrel mothership." "They'll never let you," said Chen. "They cannot stop me," replied Arcturus, and for a moment, his eyes glowed with the same fire that had made humans the most feared species in the galaxy. On the Quarrel mothership, alarms sounded as sensors detected something impossible. A human had appeared directly on the bridge, teleported through their shields, as if they didn't exist. Commander Arcturus stood before the terrified Quarrel High Council, his skin markings glowing bright blue. "I bring a message from Earth," he said calmly. "We remember who we were. We remember who you are. And we offer you a choice." Elder Tsarek, realizing he faced one of the legendary creators, fell to his knees. "What choice?" he asked. "Peace," said Arcturus, "or the full awakening of the war gods you so fear." The Quarrel High Council chamber was silent. Elder Tsarek remained on his knees before Arcturus, the ancient human whose very presence made the air feel heavy with power. "You created us?" Tsarek finally asked, his voice small. "Yes," said Arcturus. "Long ago, when we ruled the stars. Your people were designed to help manage our empire." The council members looked at each other in shock. Their oldest legends were true. Humans were not just powerful enemies, but their actual creators. "We will remove our ships from Earth space immediately," said Tsarek. "We beg forgiveness from our masters." Arcturus shook his head. "That is not why I came. We do not wish to be your masters. Not anymore." 3 days later, in the Antarctic Command Center, leaders from Earth met with the Quarrel High Council. The ancient humans stood to one side, their glowing markings dimmer now as they worked to control the warrior programming reawakening within them. Dr. Rice presented the plan she had developed with Lyra. "We propose a true alliance," she explained. "Not one of masters and servants, but equals." "How can we be equals?" asked Tsarek. "You are clearly superior." General Chen stepped forward. "We modern humans didn't know our origins until days ago. We built our civilization from nothing, just as you built yours. That makes us equals, regardless of who came first." Commander Arcturus nodded. "And that is why our children will lead this alliance, not us." Lyra explained further. "We ancients carry too much of the old ways within us. The war hunger grows stronger each day. We must return to sleep. But not before sharing our knowledge, added Arcturus. Dr. Reyes has found a way to transfer our technological understanding without the warrior programming that drives us to violence. Elena displayed a holographic model of a modified stasis pod. This device will allow us to extract the useful knowledge from the ancients' minds while filtering out the aggressive impulses. Modern humans can inherit their birthright without becoming what they once were. And what of us? Asked Sarek. What place do the Quarrel have in this new order? Whatever place you choose, said Chen. As allies, not servants, not conquests. 1 month later, a new galactic council convened in the rebuilt New Tokyo. Representatives from Earth stood alongside delegates from the 11 species of the former Quarrel hegemony. At the center of the chamber stood a massive table shaped like Earth's ancient symbol for peace. In the Antarctic base, now converted to a knowledge transfer facility, the ancient humans prepared to return to their crystal pods. Their work was done. They had protected their children and shared their knowledge without passing on their curse. Lyra embraced her descendant one last time. You were right to wake us, she told Elena, but you were also right not to become us. Commander Arcturus stood with General Chen, watching as ships from a dozen worlds entered Earth orbit peacefully. Do you think it will last? Asked Arcturus. Peace is harder than war. Chen nodded. That's why we're suited for it. We spent 10,000 years practicing. As the last ancient humans returned to their slumber, a message went out across the galaxy. The gods of war had awakened, but they had chosen a different path. They had become something new, not conquerors, but protectors. Not masters, but partners. The sleeping gods had awakened, but instead of bringing nightmares, they had chosen to dream a better future, together.